What's up everybody, Daniel Day back again with another video for DDay Gaming, and today I wanted to finally share my thoughts with you guys on this whole debacle with the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild expansion pass. I'm beginning to feel like I am the only person on the internet that's crazy excited about this thing. So anyway, that's what we're going to talk about here today. If you're into that sort of thing, stick around and hopefully I will see you after the break. Okay, so, wow, a lot of hate about this thing, and honestly, I was a little taken aback by it. You know, some of you may be wondering why I didn't post a reaction video right away to the announcement like everybody else did, and, you know, there's a couple of reasons for that. For starters, it became quickly apparent to me that I was kind of in the minority here, right? You know, I woke up like everybody else did that day, and, you know, I checked my YouTube subscriptions and saw the video with Aonuma basically walking us through what was included in the expansion pass, in generalities at least, right? And I was super excited. You know, I'm looking through this and I'm just thinking $20 and I get more Zelda. This is great, right? And then I got to work and I started talking to some people about it because again, I was so excited and they're all like, yeah, man, that sucks, right? And they're like, yeah, everybody on the internet is hating on it too. And I'm like, what? So got my phone out, started poking around and realized that, yeah, no, I you know, kind of standing alone there on this one, right? So, you know, I figured I should take some time and read through those that provided a rationale, valid reasons for why they were disappointed in Nintendo for doing this expansion pass and see if maybe my initial reaction was wrong, right? Maybe I was thinking incorrectly and I should hate on Nintendo too, right? But, you know, after doing all of that and doing a little bit of soul searching, it didn't change my opinion. I'm not swayed at all. I am still super excited for this thing. Now, that's not to say that some people don't have some valid arguments about this, but in my particular case, more Zelda is never a bad thing, right? You know, some people, it strikes me, like just don't like DLC in general, and you know, I don't really get that myself, just because, you know, when DLC is done right, it gives me access to more of the game that I love, right, without having to wait for its sequel. I might get stuff, you know, a month later, 6 months later, a year later for a game I'm really enjoying instead of having to wait 2 or 3 years for the next game in the series to come out. That's what we did before DLC. But don't get me wrong, there's been a lot of shady stuff that has gone on with downloadable content and season passes over the years, right? There are problems, and there's no standard example of how you know, how to do this stuff that always works out well. I think that ultimately with, you know, season passes and DLC, the important thing is that you provide good value to your customers, right? I think that it's us getting burned on DLC and people's shady business practices that have kind of created this negative stigma about the whole thing, right? And, you know, so why does DLC exist, right? I don't know, right? You know, I have heard some interesting theories, like for instance, that as we moved into the HD era of gaming, things got more expensive, risks were higher, and so this allowed publishers and developers to maybe mitigate that risk a little bit and recoup a little bit of those extra expenses since they weren't jacking the price of the games up in general. You know, they stayed at $60. Who knows, right? That maybe that's true, maybe that's not. It's an interesting theory. It's the one that I like to subscribe to, right? And then, you know, as a business model, you know, there's money to be made there, right? I mean, bottom line is somebody tried it, people bought it, and then everybody else hopped on the bandwagon, right? The only way to stop DLC, and I'm not saying that's what I want to happen because it's not. The only way that you know, we could stop DLC from existing is if we all just collectively stopped buying it. It's not worth their time anymore, right? They're not making any money at it. And that's clearly just not going to happen, right? So there are some examples of DLC that's been done well, and I have lived through some situations where DLC and season passes hasn't been done very well. I think most of us have, right? But when it's done really well, you walk away from the whole thing feeling like you got lots of extra great content for that game that you enjoy, and you got good value out of it. And, you know, there have been games like, say, Arkham Knight, for instance, that I played on the Xbox One. That is not my favorite Arkham game by any stretch of the imagination, but I bought the season pass for that, and I felt like I got good value out of it. Some of the DLC stuff I enjoyed more than the original game itself. And that's not to say I hate Arkham Knight. I like Arkham Knight. I just don't like it as much as some of the other games in that series. But, you know, I played through the main game. I put a lot of hours into it. I really enjoyed it. And then, you know, every month or so, I would find out that there had been a new DLC drop, or I'd see it in my update list, and I would go back and play the game hardcore for a weekend, and then kind of put it to the side, and then go back to it again a month later when the new DLC came out. It gave that game more legs, and some of my favorite experiences in that game were with the downloadable content, stuff that I got as part of the season pass, right, as opposed to what was actually built in to the original game. So that's one of those examples where things worked out really well, right? But then some of the shady stuff, like I remember Capcom back in the Xbox 360 era, that was probably my first experience with kind of shady DLC. I can't remember what game it was. It strikes me like maybe it was like Marvel vs. Capcom 3 or something like that. But it may have even been before that. I can't remember off the top of my head at the moment. But, you know, basically you'd go buy a piece of downloadable content, and what you download is like a 35K file, right, that would be installed on your system. And you're like, well, wait a minute, that can't possibly be the actual content itself. Oh, it must be on the disk, right? And I think a lot of people get upset about that, because then when the content's already on the disk, you get into that whole situation where some people are going to feel like that was already done before the game went gold, before the game actually shipped out to customers, and so it's on the disk. You paid $60 for the disc, right? You should have access to all of that content, and it's very hard to argue otherwise, right? But some developers have tried. They've said, "Oh no! You know, that we were done with the game 2 months before it went gold, right? And so in those 2 months, we kept a chunk of our staff working on stuff, and it just so happened that they got that done in time to actually put it on the disc before we created the gold master, right? And so that's what happened there. Well, you know, that's a sticky argument, right, when it's on the disc, because it's like, okay, then why didn't you release the game 2 months earlier, right? Why have you put yourself in this situation? What was the benefit? And, you know, then they want to argue, well, you know, the marketplace was crowded, so we had to wait, blah, blah, blah. Look, I'm not saying that there aren't justifiable reasons for that, but people don't feel good when they go spend, you know, $20 on some digital content and they download a 30K file and realize that it's been on the disc the whole time. I think that the taste that leaves in most people's mouths, and I felt like this myself a few times, was that you basically had a chunk of the game that I should have gotten as part of my $60, and you just kind of scooped it out so that you could sell it to me for more money, right? You know, I don't know if that's the case or not. There are certainly some circumstances where I think it has been, right? But as time has gone on, I would like to think that more and more publishers and developers are starting to respect us as gamers a little bit more, and not do that kind of stuff that we have voted with our dollars, right? And we have basically unanimously said that is not okay, right? If you want me to help support you and your continued development of this game that I love, you've got to provide me with, you know, quality stuff for my hard-earned money, right? And, you know, again, that's not always what takes place, but it strikes me like more and more I'm a little bit more comfortable with that situation. One kind of innate problem with season passes in general is, you know, that you don't necessarily know what you're getting into, right? You a lot of times are given almost no details. Like, there have been season passes that I've bought that basically said, over the next 6 months, there's going to be 6 pieces of content, and it's going to be $29.95 or $39.95 or whatever, and that's all you get, right? What pieces of content are those? I think we all value pieces of content slightly differently. Some people really, really would be fine if that was just a bunch of cosmetic stuff, and some of us are like, no, that's garbage, right? No, I want story and new missions and stuff like that for my money, right? You know, you certainly can't please everybody, but a lot of these season passes, those descriptions, especially before the game comes out, are very, very vague, right? And then sometimes they go into a lot more detail. And in the case of the Zelda game, I think that they've, found a happy medium there, right? I don't want them to spoil anything about the story. I don't want them to give me anything too specific. But I also didn't want to just get, $20, two expansions. That's the end of it, right? I like that they have kind of detailed what you're getting. So on launch day, you're basically getting 3 chests. One of those has got what we now know is a Nintendo Switch shirt, right? Some people are going to love that. Some people are going to hate that, right? But the real meat of it is in the second component and the third component. The second component is coming in summer, and that is going to have something that they're calling a new map feature. Not really sure what in the world that means. And also a new Cave of Trials challenge. Not 100% sure what that is either. But again, at least it gives me some sort of idea of what I'm getting myself into. And then, of course, the new hard mode, right? And, both in the new Cave of Trials challenge and the new hard mode, I don't know if that means that there is a Cave of Trials and there is a hard mode, and this is a new hard mode and a new Cave of Trials challenge, or if there's just none of that in the game that we're picking up on Friday, right? And this is going to add those in. The word new there kind of creates a little bit of confusion, and I wish that Nintendo had been just a little bit clearer about that. But I appreciate the detail nonetheless, right? And then with the third component that's coming in winter, they've said there's going to be additional challenges, right? So that's interesting. They've said that there's going to be a new dungeon, and of course, famously, they've said there's going to be some new story stuff added in. Now, my mind runs wild on what that could be, and I think that that third piece is the one that most people are excited about. But, and here's a point that people have made that I actually do agree with, right? Nintendo is not going to let you buy these pieces separately. See, a lot of times with these expansion packs or season passes, what they basically do is you can buy each of the individual components that make up the season pass at a flat rate, right? Or you can just upfront buy the whole lot of them and get some sort of a discount. And that's not what Nintendo's doing here. They're charging $20 and you're getting this stuff on day one, these 3 chests, one of which is the Switch shirt, and then you're getting the other 2 pieces in summer and then winter. But what they're not allowing you to do is say just buy the winter pack if you want. And I agree with people, they should do that, right? If the expansion pass needs to cost $20, then I would suggest that Nintendo handle this way. I think that they should sell those second 2 pieces, the summer and winter expansion portions, for somewhere between $12.50 and $15 a piece, right? So that the total, if you ended up deciding to buy both of those outside of the expansion pass, would be $25 to $30. And the 3 chests and the Switch shirt, you only get that if you buy the season pass, right? And you get the discount, right? Instead of paying, say, $25, you pay $20 and you get that. So that adds some sort of value to people that want to go ahead and invest up front, sight unseen. And if you want to take a wait and see approach, you can pay more later, but you won't get the Switch shirt, which I'm sure some people could care less about, right? I'm still on the fence about that. I haven't seen it yet. I don't know what it looks like. I'm on media blackout at this point as far as Zelda goes, because there's some spoilers floating around out there on the internet, and I want to go in knowing nothing more than I do right now. I might really enjoy that, but it also might really pull me out of the experience. I don't know when they say a Zelda shirt. Are we talking like a t-shirt that's not going to look like anything else in the game, that's just going to seem completely out of place? Or is it some piece of armor with a little Switch logo on it or something that's just kind of subtle that does seem like it fits into the world of Hyrule? I don't know. My guess is it's going to be just something that's fun that does seem completely out of place, so I may not use it, right? And that's why I think that should be something reserved exclusively for people that do pick up the season pass, because I think a lot of people aren't going to care to use it anyway. Maybe it'll be funny to put on for a few minutes, but I don't know. Maybe it's the coolest thing in the world. We'll see, right? So I do agree with that. I think that they should sell those things individually, and I think that the combined total should cost more if in fact you choose to do it that way. I don't know why Nintendo has decided to do this as a standalone option. It's just $20 to get the whole thing. It's all or nothing. That just doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. That's not how how season passes are traditionally done. They are a way to save money over buying things individually. I mean, certainly Nintendo can do whatever makes them happy, right? But it strikes me like that is a failed opportunity there. It would be a goodwill gesture to gamers if they changed that at this point as a result of the internet backlash, and it's also potentially an opportunity for Nintendo to make more money, right? I mean, people buy that first one for $12.50, let's say, right? They cave and buy that, and then the second one comes out and they pay another $12.50. Well, they paid $5 more than I'll be paying, right, for each of the pieces if the reviews come out for the DLC and it's super great, right? So yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me that the only way to get any of this stuff is to buy the whole expansion pass thing. Right. But, some people I think have forgotten that Nintendo has done expansion packs before, that they have done DLC before. Obviously, they did it with Smash Brothers. There was, DLC in Hyrule Warriors, obviously Mario Kart 8 as well, and others that I am not naming here, but, Nintendo has done this before, and I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt here, right? It's not as though you should hold Nintendo to such a high standard that they shouldn't be able to sell DLC, right? But I think it's fine to hold everybody to a high enough standard that I should feel as though I got a good value for my money. And, in the cases of the expansion pack type things, the DLC that I've purchased from Nintendo during the Wii U's lifespan, I have consistently felt as though I have gotten a good value. I haven't bought all of them, so maybe there were a few stinkers in there, right? But for the ones that I've purchased for my money, I've been happier with Nintendo on average than I have been with a lot of these other companies. So I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. So yeah, I'm willing to suspend disbelief and on launch day give them $20 with the understanding or the assumption that I'm going to feel like I got a lot more than $20 worth by the time this is all said and done. I've been waiting for this game forever. It occurred to me over this past week that I've spent a lot more than $20 on Zelda swag that's not in-game, right? I am so excited for this game that I've bought a bunch of stuff surrounding it. I got a statue coming, I got a little figurine coming, I've got strategy guides, the art and artifacts book, little carrying case, and all sorts of stuff like that. That's all Zelda themes because I am so hyped, so excited for this game. So of course, with that in mind, I am more than happy to shell out yet another $20 to actually get more stuff in the game. It's the game that I'm excited for, and this is my opportunity to get more of it. So yeah, that seems just great to me. So yeah, I know I'm in the vocal minority here making this video because I'm super excited for this. And I'm not saying that all DLC is good. I'm not saying that all season passes are good. Nothing of the sort. I have been burnt just as many times as I'm sure many of you have. I have bought season passes for games that ended up sucking, and so that's just more money that I wasted, right? I have also bought season passes for games that I put a good 10, 20 hours into, and then I was just done with them, right? And so over the next 6 months or a year, as more stuff that I already paid for came out, I had zero interest in returning to the game to actually get my money's worth out of it. So the DLC just sat there. So yeah, it's happened to me too, right? But in this particular case, like I said, I am more than willing to give Nintendo the benefit of the doubt. I bought some DLC for Smash Brothers, I bought some DLC for Mario Kart, and I had a blast with all of that stuff. So I'm hoping that Nintendo follows suit with this expansion pass in this game that I have been anticipating for so many years. So yeah, so that's kind of my thoughts on this thing. Like I said, more Zelda is always, in my book at least, a good thing, especially when it's Zelda stuff that I actually get to play, right? So yeah, I know I'm in the minority here, but it is what it is. So what do you guys think? Are you picking up the expansion pack on day one? Do you wish that Nintendo would sell the individual pieces separately? Do you think the expansion pack is a great idea or a terrible idea? Let me know in the comment section below. I would love to talk to you guys about that. So yeah, this is probably as good a place as any to go ahead and end this video. Hopefully you have a better understanding at this point of where I'm coming from and why I'm so excited about this and why I'm not down on Nintendo for selling a $20 Breath of the Wild expansion pass. So thanks for watching. If you made it this far in the video, I just wanted to give a special shout out to my subscribers. You guys rock. And if you're watching this and you haven't subscribed, poke around, maybe check out some of the other videos on my channel. And if you like my particular brand of rambling, maybe consider subscribing. Totally free for you. Helps me out quite a bit, and it makes me smile, so totally makes my day. And if you're interested in finding me other places on the internet, you can follow me on Twitter at that DDay guy, and I also stream games right here on YouTube and Twitch. I've been streaming Halo Wars Definitive Edition here the last few nights. It's been a blast. For YouTube, you've already found me. If you don't want to lose me, maybe click that subscribe button, right? And if Twitch is more your thing, because it's the same content in both places, just whatever your preference is, my username is DDay on Twitch. Pretty easy to remember, huh? So once again, guys, just wanted to say thanks for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will see you in the next one.